episode 31 already. I was just quite saying, we'll get us started. A wee bit of a different intro today. I've got somebody I've been looking forward to getting in for quite a while. Graham Tatters, welcome to you, my man.
Hi.
How are you? Because you've taken a wee bit of time out of football. You were the ever-present face for Elgin City for the last 20 years. So how does it feel just having a wee bit of time out and things like that and not having so much focus on the club?
I haven't left the focus of the football club. I'm still going down there to help probably the guy who's the most important guy at the football club, Cecil Jack.
Yeah.
I still go down and help him a lot. But trying to, without getting too sentimental, trying to recover from obviously the loss of my wife.
Yeah.
After 52 years was a bit difficult, and the sadness is trying to get rid of the sadness. So I still go to football. Yeah. But I haven't managed the game yet, and I'm still just taking time to get myself in a situation where I can face everybody, because lots of people, you don't realise how many people you know until something like that happens, and everybody's so kind and wonderful, but it just, everything's a trigger.
It is, yeah.
And I'm just getting over those triggers.
Yeah, and you're the kind of guy that would take you an hour and a half to get from one side of Barrabriggs as well.
Possibly,
so, yeah.
Not so much at the moment because I'm not down there when the game's on, but you're right. I mean, I went down with a guy, a mate of mine's son-in-law he was in Italy, and he sent him across, and he came across to see me, and I walked down to see him, and I came in the ground as he was leaving the game, and it took me 15-20 minutes to get from the soup kitchen across to him by the time I was talking to everybody else.
Aye, that's it. It must be the same when you've got the high street and things like that as well.
Tesco.
Yeah, Tesco, everyone stops you.
Yeah.
With the podcast, Graham, I always go back to the start, and my first question is always the same, everyone. How good a football player were you as a kid?
Average. As a footballer, I went to a school called Thomas Addison's, and when I was at junior school, 7 or 8, I was reasonably sized, so you think you're reasonable and you can knock people about, so you're all right. And then what happened was the 3 junior schools in the areas, Balliol and there's another one anyway, 3 junior schools, Maygorthand Avenue, and they joined together and went to the secondary school. And by the time I got to the secondary school, I was way down pecking order for football. So I played rugby from about 12 to 18, 12 to 17, 12 to 16 when I joined the Air Force.
Yeah.
So I played rugby then, and I played football with the kids, like everybody does in the street now,
Yeah.
And after that, as I played rugby right, I joined the Air Force.
Yeah.
So people going a bit further. Okay, when I joined the Air Force, I realised that I wasn't as bad as what I thought I was, and you in the Air Force, I was an apprentice at locking, and there was only 36 of us in the entry, so I was probably the best or the second best footballer in the entry, and then eventually you get to the playing for the station, and then the men's side of the station, and picked for Western-super-Mare youths, but I still didn't think I was a very good player, but I was really, really fit, really fit.
Yeah.
I boxed, I swam, I ran, I did everything. So all that generated the fitness.
Yep.
And what that did for me later on in life, that realised that if you can get people fit, and they'll enjoy the game far more than being out the trees and breathing through the backsides 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And it proved that in 92, 93, which you're going to go on to about.
It's tried and tested method. How many times are games won by the fitter team who've maybe scored a 93rd minute because they just keep pushing on, and it's so true what you're saying. People who maybe don't know you, Graham, maybe tell from your accent you're not from the northeast of Scotland. You're a Geordie.
Aye. What happened was I joined the Air Force at 16.
Mm-hmm.
Went to RAF Lock into a radio fitters course, ground radio, and I did a year at Henlow, and then I did another year on a little island called Garn.
Okay.
And then I came back from Garn, and I went to work at a place called Stanbridge, but I was outstationed to a place called Boddington, living in Innsworth. And I decided to go aircrew. Yeah. So I went aircrew. I did another year at Topcliffe, at RAF Topcliffe, doing the conversion to become aircrew. And then I was sent down I posted to St Morgan to do my operational conversion unit. They were crammed with people trying to get through to the Nimrods. The Nimrods were really busy, so I was 6 months away from there, detached to a place called Chesington, just outside of Chesington, a place called Joint Acoustics Analysis Centre. I did 6 months there. Then I went back to St Morgan and did my OCU.
Right.
And all the guys in St Morgan wanted to stay down there in Newquay, summer and all this sort of thing. But I I thought it was pretty shit. So I just said, nah, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So I volunteered for Kinloss. And you're definitely going to, if you volunteer for Kinloss, you were frigging certainly going there because nobody else wanted to come. And it disappointed me that so many people should think of that, because I came up here about 6 months before I was due to arrive. I did a detachment, a quick courier run up here with a bit of kit. And the whole place was just exactly what you'd want, you know. Mm-hmm. So I came in 73 and I turned down lots and lots of postings. I never moved from 73 right till 2012 when I left.
Yeah.
And so I've loved it since I've been here.
Is it just the area itself? Is it the people? Just about everything, Graham?
Everything.
Yeah.
I think the quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of life. I didn't like Newquay. I didn't like Cornish. The Cornish. I'm not saying the Cornish people because you don't know, because they're all. It's like London. Everybody's an immigrant, so everybody's in there. You know, it's so cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
Cornwall. So, but I didn't like Cornwall at all. I thought that you were okay during the winter when they wanted you, but as soon as the summer came and all the holiday makers arrived, you were a second-class citizen.
Right. Yeah.
But yet, when you come up here, apart from being English, you're quite well accepted.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so I'm kind of interested in the next one. Who would you say was your football idol growing up, Graham?
Football idol. Well, I wrote down some. I think the problem with that is it's the eras. You know, I mean, I go right back to possibly people like Jackie Milburn.
Yeah,
who's one I would remember when I was young, really young. Jimmy Schooler was another one.
Okay, and
then George Eastham.
Okay,
and then from George Eastham went through to Jimmy Smith.
Yes,
ex-Aberdeen player. Remember him?
Yes.
Jimmy Smith, and then obviously the Charltons and all that, you know. And from Jackie Milburn, Bobby Charlton, and I wasn't the best lover. Mm-hmm. I think the problem with him is I just felt as though that he wasted his life. You know, I thought that for a guy, the talent he had, I saw him against England in Northern Ireland at Wembley, and you watched him on the TV.
Yeah,
and he was just, I mean, he was quality. But I couldn't judge him as an idol because I just felt he threw his life away. You know? Yeah, and that's the same as Gascoigne. I think Gascoigne was an awesome player as well. Mm-hmm. But I just feel that, you know, you've given that gift by God, or whoever gives you the gift to play at that level and to be that good, and then you go and throw it all away and drink or something. You know, it just disappoints me. Yeah,
you need to use that. Yeah. You need to use it. You'll know as well as anyone, being involved in football for as long as you have, Graham. For natural ability is a thing in football. It's you'll sometimes see it passed down from generation to generation. There is such a thing as natural ability.
Well, look at the Teasdales.
Yeah,
Michael, John, Mark. They all had it. I mean, John was different class. I mean, John was good. Mm-hmm. You know, again, but he wasted it.
Yeah,
he had so much talent when he left. I mean, when he's at Elgin and with Shewan, and he went to Nairn with Innes, and then he went to Wolverhampton Wanderers. But he ended up out with Hughes and Andy Gray instead of working hard on his craft.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's many people I've ever met who can hit a ball like John Teasdale could.
I've heard that by a few
Strike
people.
A dead ball was beautiful. Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean, the amount of times he could put a dead ball on, and Sammy Lawrence just had to climb up there and just put his head on it and it was in, because he was such a quality crossover ball.
Yeah.
Really good dead ball kicker.
Brilliant. How did you first become involved with football in the northeast of Scotland?
I came up in 73 and I'd had a college operation before I come up, so it took me a little bit of time to get fit. And I played for RAF Kinloss and the juniors.
Yeah.
And at that time, the juniors was really good. I mean, not that I was really good, but the juniors was good. I mean, you know, you had Loss United were really good. Aki White, a kid from here, the only kid who ever frightened me in football.
Is that right? Yeah.
Oh, he plays. I think he was a greenkeeper. What a hard bastard. He was really, really hard, you know. And you had Nen St. Ninian, the quality players, Dougie Storm, Ian Riddle, Willie Barron, Forrest Mechanics, Tosh McIntosh, Fraser, these guys. RAF Kinloss, we had Jimmy Smith and Norrie McBain who went on Highland League. Loads and loads of the junior players went on to play Highland League from me.
Yeah.
I remember playing against Bishop Mill United on a Saturday, and I think it was 6 of that team had played for Fockerbuzz on the Saturday morning. Pelly, Mike Henry, the Lords, Mikey Laws and Johnny Laws, I think it was. Jimmy Smith, Ainsley Gordon, all these guys, the young kids, 16, they run the rings off us.
Yeah.
Pelly was outstanding.
Aye.
15 when I played again. He was 6 foot something then, and he was what a quality player, unbelievable. There's another one known as. You know, talking about
what could have been.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, well, he did, didn't he? I mean, he did. 20 odd games for Man United.
Yes.
And he played at Man United when Buck and McQueen and Jordan were there, so they're the three positions he could play. And Pelly was, I mean, 6'2" or something. I can't remember what he was. And I remember we used to have a guy playing at Kinloss called Alan Clayson, and he must have run alongside Pelly and must have kicked him about 50 times all the games in the game. Just kept on kicking him and kicking him and kicking him. Pelly never shrugged, never even flinched. Just got on with the game, and just a great player.
Yeah,
really good to watch.
Yeah.
15, Jesus. So I went from there.
Yeah.
73. I played for Kinloss. The best level I got played for the junior select twice. I played for them twice. But I mean, that was my level. I watched the Highland League at that time, and you know, people like Fraser, Chico McCarty, all these guys. You know, I was nowhere near that standard. You know? Yeah. And
would you get to a lot of games to watch in the Highland League at that time?
9 times.
Yeah.
Just go and watch my sons and a papoose on the back of my shoulders, Stuart, you know, and just to watch the games. Marilyn and Kate used to take them into the soup kitchen and look after them when I was watching the games, and then you know, just develop from there. And that was good. They were really, really lovely times because, you know, I mean, the Elgin team was a bit different. Chris Slavin, Ernie Drews, Les Armstrong, and then eventually McGinley and all that lot, you know. And John himself and Ali Jaffe, Mikey Noble. They're good lads and good players, and it was good football.
Yes.
There wasn't people diving about like idiots and falling, you know.
Entertaining football as well.
A tackle was a tackle.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, Cali Thistle had a team to die for. Wilson Robertson, Charlie Christie, Kevin Mann, Bob Summers, all that lot. You know, they were just awesome, you know. Yeah. There's some good sides of the Highland League at that time. Good players as well.
Yeah.
Titchy Black, all that lot, you know, they were outstanding.
Some fun. I asked this Ian Mulby Murray was my last episode. I asked this, and I'm going to ask you as well, Graham. Do you feel that the standard of the Highland League and the juniors has dropped in the last 20 or 30 years?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that, because I think lots of the Highland League players, I mean, stop just getting my facts together here. I took a list of some of the guys that I played against in the juniors. And, you know, the Robertsons twins, all those guys I mentioned from Bishop Mill United, Pelly, Jimmy Smith, Mikey Laws, they all went on to play. There was Hami Suter from here. He was another really, Jerry Devine, the Robertson twins. There was Ian Allen, Ian Milne from there. Norrie McBain from my team. Johnny Irvin went on. There was from Nen St. Ninian, Dougie Storm, Ian Riddle. And kind of think Willie Barron, Tosh McIntosh, Derek Fraser for us. All these guys went on to play Highland League, you know. Yeah. And even that's not counting later on in my career. Later on, as I was, Soapy Cameron left New Elgin, went to Forest, you know. Most of them started in the juniors then.
Yeah.
But now with the way that, in fact, you're a coach yourself. But now with the way Elgin City are coaching people now, that the junior football is being missed out because guys are playing 16, 17s. And 18s at Club Academy Scotland, and then most of them are going straight into. I mean, we've got 2 or 3 sitting on it's unfortunate sitting on the bench, but they're sitting on the bench waiting for an opportunity. Whereas before they'd have been playing juniors and they came through the Highland League, then played at our level.
Yes,
but we're probably stopping people. Not stopping people. That's wrong. We're probably encouraging people to stay out of the juniors and play to be on the bench for Elgin. And play Club Academy Scotland, whereas before they wouldn't have been doing that. Club Academy Scotland, we couldn't play in it because we're Highland League club.
Yes, aye.
So you'd be bringing people on to play maybe junior football, then bring them into Highland League.
Yeah. It's it matures you as a player, playing against men, playing against tougher opposition, you know, as 15, 16, 17-year-olds. They don't get that opportunity these days because they're playing against other 15, 16, 17-year-olds. And the first opportunity a lot of these guys are getting because they're missing the junior stage is maybe that opportunity off the bench, and that can be a real deep pool to be thrown in.
It could be a bit of trepidation when you come off and you play there. I think young Fraser got a run out on Saturday for the last few minutes or something. But you look at the Club Academy Scotland, and I remember we had Robertson playing against Queen's Park when we played up at Aberlour.
Yeah,
and we've had several players. My son played against the 2. One was MacArthur, and another Max something. 2. Both of them came from Hamilton in that period of time. Both played for Scotland.
McCarthy,
aye, but they were. He played against them. So you're playing against quality players.
Yeah,
but it's a big step to go from playing Club Academy Scotland 17s, 18s to playing man's football, and also there was a kid who played for Hamilton against us. He was a really, really big, tall, blonde lad, and he went on to Hearts. And I don't think I've heard of him since he went to Hearts. Yet he was really good. He scored, I don't know how many he scored against us one day.
Yeah,
and he was excellent. But you know, he's because his size, same as Pelly. Pelly was bigger than everybody else when he played.
Yep.
But Pelly then continued on to develop from that. Where some players, their height and their size makes them look good, but when it comes down to it, when they play against another man, somebody of equal caliber, it doesn't show.
Yeah, and it'll catch them up as well. They might be 6'2" at 17. By the time the other guys are 21, 22,
they're 6'2".
They're 6'2" as well.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. You look good at 16, 17. But if you're good at 16, 17 and you want to develop and you keep on trying, then you will be good as you go on. You know,
absolutely.
You will go. But so, I think the dropout for quality is unbelievable. I'm just so disappointed with many kids that I didn't have that opportunity because I wasn't good enough. But I'd have crawled across broken glass to get an opportunity to play at a good level, you know. But these kids, some of them got it, and then all of a sudden they just drop out and just don't want to play anymore.
Yep. Just kind of an off-the-cuff question. I'm just kind of thought of here, Graham. Who would you say in your time in the northeast of football is the brightest young prospect you've seen? There's been a few come through.
The kid. In northeast of Scotland, or northeast of England.
I'll give you both if you want.
Well, I mean, obviously Northeast England, it was Gascoigne, and then the young kid who came on yesterday for Notts Forest against Elgin against Newcastle.
Yeah,
Anderson.
Yeah, Elliot Anderson.
Because they had to let him go, didn't they? You know, because they keep the financial fair play equal. That's to let him go.
Yeah,
but I think Livramento looks a good player. If he's keeping Trippier out of his squad at the moment.
I think he actually qualifies for Scotland as well, Livramento.
Oh, but he's got a lot more sense than that. You're probably finding somewhere you lot will dig up somewhere that his granny was an Outlander. You'll find somewhere getting him into the Scotland team. Right?
Exactly. The other guy...
his granny slept with somebody down there.
That's what's happened, mate. That's what's happened. I think Harvey Barnes is another one.
Another one is right. Great. Okay, we'll keep on going. Right.
But just kind of... like more local, Elgin, Lossy and that, who would you say, is there anyone that kind of stuck out at a young age?
At a young age?
Yeah, you can think of.
We're going back how far?
Maybe the last 20 years.
20 years, Biscuits.
Yeah, Biscuits. Yeah,
Biscuits was really, I mean, he had talent to die for.
Yeah.
But he's another fruitcake. You couldn't control him at all. You could tell him to play somewhere. He just Tats, I'm not doing that, you know. He's just but he's really, you know, there's a couple of other good lads. I think probably the best one of the lot has got to be Soapy, young Brian Cameron.
Yeah, young Soapy, yeah, 100%.
Big Soapy was awesome, mind. So I wouldn't count him young because when he came to me, when he not to me, but when he came to Elgin, he'd had his best years at Forest, not his best years, but he'd had years at Forest, went to New Zealand, came back to Forest and finished off another season because he promised Harry McFadden would finish another season, and then he came to Elgin. And I think in all the times at Elgin, I think the only position I saw Soapy not play was goalkeeper.
Yeah,
he could play anywhere, he was absolute colossus. Strike a ball, win a ball in the air, tackle like a frigging bulldozer. He was awesome, just awesome, Big Soapy.
Yeah,
you know, and we had lots of good players in that side.
Yeah,
lots of good players in that side, as you'll go into later on.
Yeah, and then just kind of as you're speaking about young Soapy there, he's now, I think we're 2 appearances away from 500 for Elgin.
Is he?
Yeah, so I think that's massive. That's absolutely massive. And to think that he's had offers to go and play elsewhere. We all know he's had offers.
I'm not sure if there's offers. I mean, I think people were interested, but I don't know. It's a massive. You know, he's not a big flamboyant character.
No,
he's
not
just
at all.
He's got his feet on the ground. I think his dad's done that to him. I think his dad said, "Look, son, you know, you just keep your feet in the ground. What'll come will come." And it's possible that I think Kilmarnock were interested quite seriously at one time. I can't remember, but apparently that happened. I wasn't quite involved at that level of that sort of discussions at that time because I wasn't a director. But I think that Jim Weir swore that he could have definitely made that grade.
Yeah,
and he's like a gazelle. He just runs across the ground, you know, and he's just so deceivingly quick.
Yep.
And he's just like a really good wine. He just seems to mature. He's really just more than anything, he's a lovely kid.
Yeah,
really nice kid.
Yeah,
and that'll come from his dad and his mum because they're a lovely family.
He's absolutely brand new. I'm the same age as Brian and grew up playing school football against him. And back then he was terrifying to play against as a kid. But But as you say, he's one of the nicest.
Very
people.
shy. Doesn't
That's
you know,
what I feel.
Not in your face. He's not in your face. He's not like, you know.
And do you know what? I feel like I love the fact he's Elgin City captain, but I feel if Brian had the choice, he'd have that armband on someone else's arm.
Oh yeah,
because
he didn't want it. He's taken it because he's the best player.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and I mean, he came through the two Archibald twins who both played for Lossy.
Yeah,
and Colin Charlesworth, and the four of them used to, you know, they're like all attached at the elbow. They used to go around together. Never got into trouble, nothing. You know.
No.
Went to Club of Carry, Scotland games, went down south, run the heart out for you, got in a bus. Never, no aggravation, nothing. Just really, really good lads.
Yeah,
and he's developed, and you can see he's a lovely man as well. You know, he's just developed into a lovely person. You know.
Yeah, it's you're absolutely spot on with that, Graham. He's a gem, and we're lucky to have him at our club.
Oh,
absolutely,
definitely, without a doubt.
Tell us about your time at Lossy, Graham, because
Lossy, which the first time or the second?
We'll go for both, because both decent, good times for you at Lossy. It was never.
I mean, Fraser asked me to come. As I said to you before, when we were sitting chatting before, Fraser couldn't see more than halfway across the pitch, so I think he only took me in to frigging help him look across the pitch. He said, "Tats, who was that?" I didn't take him off, and he looked at me, and I said, "Fraser, it's all right." And he said, "Who was it? Who was it?" I said, "I don't know, Fraser." You know, so. But he was. I mean, Fraser, and as I said to you, Fraser brought a new level to Lossy. He when he left Elgin, he still had a couple of years left as his career. I mean, had an awesome career at Elgin. I mean, he was a tremendous player.
Yeah.
And people forget Fraser could really look after himself in a game.
Absolutely.
He knew exactly how to tackle, when to tackle, and he was a really good player. And he went to Lossy, and I remember asking him, why you left now? He says, "Tats, somebody's got to go there and start developing it." Because, I mean, Lossy's, I'll go on later on when we talk about money and everything, but Lossy's got so much potential, but it's like the teams that will succeed are the teams with the most money.
Yes.
And that's a fact. It doesn't matter what you say. It's all the way through all the leagues. Spending power. But he managed to get Sturdy, Gerard, Mackenzie, Ivor Perry, and Scotty Patterson, and I think Darren Still was at the time. I think it was the 6. And he got them to come to Lossy. And I think, if I remember correctly, they managed to get the second in the league. And even the year when Elgin won, I think Lossy were very highly placed in the
third.
league.
Yeah,
third. That's right. So you know, you had those guys, and I trained them for a while. But Fraser had that stature to be able to make them do everything. You know, and they knew. And again, though, that problem was that you had those Aberdeen players. I think they were brought in by Tommy Madden. They were from nearly all the same area in Aberdeen that Tommy Madden knew them all. He brought them through. Yeah. But I remember talking to Kevin Williamson, and he was saying that one of the problems was that the next year after they'd done that, nearly all the budget that they could get together was going to go on those 5 players.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. And I'll cover that later on when we go to the Lossy side. That when when I talk about the second period was there. So those guys there, they were absolutely brilliant and really, really good. And Fraser was probably, you know, the ideal bloke to take them because he had all the reputation, had all the stature within the club, and he was really well respected. So they battled, and they were a hell of a team to play, and they were strong. I mean, the big boy Gerard was a hell of a player. Mackenzie was strong, and had probably one of the best goalkeepers in the Highland League for years. Ivor Perry, he was outstanding.
What was your first impression of Ian Stewart?
Stewarty, the very first impression.
First time you seen him train.
Oh, not even train. Just looked at him and thought, Christ, you'll never be able to play football, you wimp. You know. And then you see him train in the way he could. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Just what a touch he had on him, and he scored goals for fun as well.
What do you think about made him such a good player, Graham? Because we've had a lot of mentions of him, and nobody can seem to put their finger on what made him. Because he was small, he didn't look like a striker. Awareness.
Knew where he was in the pitch, knew what he could do, knew what he couldn't do. Really, never, not flamboyant. Yeah. Did all the simple things right, and I mean, he could. Just knew where the ball. He said sort of a second vision to where the ball was going to drop. He'd be there, and he scored loads of good goals. You know, and little things on it, little nicks that other people wouldn't have got. He's just there. He was there.
Yeah,
and a nice guy as well.
Aye,
another saying. All those guys I've mentioned there were all really, really. The problem is if you're trying to build a team, those guys were gone before 5:10 from the club.
Yes,
and people wanted them to stay, and there were nothing wrong with that. They wanted to go. They had things to do in Aberdeen, and by the time they got to Aberdeen, most of their mates would be out at that time, because I think it might have been still 10 o'clock. I'm not sure it was 10 o'clock. I'm not sure what it was, the licence in there, but I know Elgin didn't have a 1 o'clock licence anyway. So, you know, you had that these guys were gone because they still had a life to lead.
That's it.
But I think, the way Fraser developed them and give them the free rein, they were really good. It was a good side, that side.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, I was, I think the manager was a guy called Jim George.
Okay.
Ex-Aberdeen goalkeeper, I'm not sure. And Lossie, he resigned, or I hate using the word sacked, because the bottom line is it's results based. It's not that you're sacked, it's just that things aren't going well for you, so it's best to leave. And Kev Williams rang me up and said, look, would you come down and give us a hand? We've got a game against Fort William or something. And I said, aye, okay. So I said, I'll come down, and I went down on the Saturday, picked them up at the post office, went down, and I took them in. There's a restaurant, come hotel on the way there, and they stopped at it. I asked the committee to leave, and I took the team in. And I just said, look, guys, I said, one thing about football, it's not a popularity contest. I don't care whether you like me or not. That's irrelevant. What we need to do today is to get a result. And I said, if you can hate me, whatever I pick and whatever I say to you, but the bottom line is they go in the park, then do something, So they went in the park and they won. They might have beat Fort William without me saying that anyway, but they won.
Yeah.
And we on the way back, they asked me if I'd take the job, and I had to think about it, because obviously you're looking around at what you had in Lossie, and they weren't the world's beaters, but you had 7 kids from Aberdeen.
Yeah.
So I asked them to release the 7, because it was in February, I think it was, and I think, if I remember correctly, in the Highland League, you had to be released by March the 13th, or you couldn't you finished. You couldn't go to another football club if you weren't free by March the 13th.
Right, okay.
And it was a guy called Robertson, was a really good player. I think it's Neil Robertson, I think he was named. But I asked them to release them, and they weren't very happy about that. But they released them, and then I brought in Peter Maguire, Ross McCarty, Stuart Cameron. I can't remember all the rest of the guys. I brought in 6 or 7 in from Elgin, and they made up for the other guys. But the main thing was then they all trained with me.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure, Shalaka came later, but the team that won that cup, I think I'll just Biscuits, David Dixon, Kev Meehan. I'm not sure if Andy Fisk was still there then. But there was a really, really good side, and everybody was an IV postcode, IV 30 something postcode,
It's mental when you think about it.
Well, it is, but the problem was then, what happened after that was that the money started the question ahead. Moore left, Biscuits left, Kev Meehan went, and then Maggie and Ross decided that they'd had enough of football, because they were getting on in years,
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to keep it going from there, but it was really hard. When Moore left, I was gutted when Moore left, because Moore was the nucleus of it. He's a big, strong bloke, really sweet. I mean, he's one of the few guys I've ever seen at this level can hit a ball both feet. I mean, but properly hit a ball with both feet.
Absolutely.
And he could win any high ball. He was really solid. Hulk was there, all these guys. So it was good, but I just got. Things happened. I ended up working down south a lot more with the Air Force, and that, I just thought, and I resigned. Mm-hmm. But I left it in a better place. There's a lot of young lads were getting games then. Lee Moyer, Boo, Biscuits, Stephen Sim.
You left them with a trophy as well, Grim.
Aye, trophy. Aye. And I think Mike Green scored the last one, I think. I remember 3-1, wasn't it, against Rothers?
Aye.
Yeah. Stevie Dixon, Kev Meehan, and Youngson, I think, was playing as well. No, was Youngson playing? I can't remember. But Youngson was a good player as well.
And we just kind of spoke about that. And I know Lossy have not had the greatest of fortunes over the last maybe 20-25 years, but it's still the last trophy in Lossy have won in their most recent history.
I think it's sad that I left Lossy, but I got nothing. In life, you try and remember the good times. You try not to think about the bad times. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can't remember any bad times at Lossy. The committee. I'm not a great believer in sitting in front of 13 people letting them harangue you, there was 13 people there. And Kev, I said, Kev, I'm quite happy to come in and sit in front of your committee, but I said, I answer questions to you. Get your questions so that it's you I'm talking to and not another 10 or 13 guys. But they were all there for one purpose, and that was to see Lossy Football Club get on. There was no egos, nothing. As far as I could see, I'm not saying Kev might disagree with you, but as far as I was concerned, there was no egos. Everybody was pulling the same direction. The problem is, as we've just discussed, is they couldn't get the money.
Yes.
It's a massive, massive problem. We'll come on to that later on when we talk about Elgin and the HF, SFL and SPFL.
Yeah.
But you find that the teams that have got the most money will get the better players and they'll win things.
Yeah.
You're very unusual if you find somebody, if you can find 10 or 12 guys who are willing to play for you and sweat blood for you. And that's what happened when I won that cup. When I didn't. When the team won that cup, was all guys who went around together, they did everything together, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I left, before I left, I brought Stevie Ellis came in.
Yeah, good player.
But Stevie Ellis was a really good player.
Yeah.
But Mac Mullen was the one.
Yeah.
Mac Mullen was outstanding. Mac Mullen would he's one of these guys, and I'm not saying I had a different relationship with him. I signed him for Elgin when he was 15 or 16. I went to his house, sat with his mother, and I signed him. One of the first signs I made, about the only sign I made for Elgin.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Elgin, I never spent any money. So Martin McMullen was the one. I signed Martin McMullen. When he wasn't getting a game, I snapped the hand off because I think Ian Fleming was the manager. Right. And he let lots of guys go. Graham Wilson, Boo, Jum, Lee Moyer. All these guys were released, and I took Stevie and Martin there. And Martin was colossus. I mean, he would crawl over broken glass for you. He'd jump, you see how high, see run, see how far. You know, he's just what sort of player.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever, in fact, if he listens to this, he might think of me something, but I can't remember ever him shirking a tackle. And if he did, I'd have freaking thrown him in the river, put him in the beach because he wouldn't shirk nothing.
No.
Stuck everybody.
Martin's a good guy as well. Martin's like,
I wouldn't say that. No.
I disagree. Yeah, I get on well with Martin. He's a good lad.
Great lad, really lovely lad, and not the best of not the best of childhoods. Came up here to get away from Glasgow.
Yeah,
good lad, and he came up here, and he's. I think Lossie suited him. I think he had the opportunity to go elsewhere, but I think Lossie suited him. I think seeing Kevin's daughter and meeting her and everything, and I think that settled him, and he's turned, he's now a director at Pinefield Glass, and more strength to his elbow. I'll really love him as a kid. If you'd wanted a son, Mac Mullen would be. I've got two good sons anyway. Yeah. But he would have been the third one for me.
Okay, this is maybe a good foray into the next question. As a manager, who do you think was your best ever signing?
I just said I didn't hardly sign anybody.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got written down when I took over. They called me down one night and they sacked John. John was his own worst enemy. I mean, you couldn't find a better. I wouldn't say not a better manager than John, but for Elgin City at the time, John was the manager. He was outstanding. He was the Marmite. Yeah, you either liked him or you didn't like him. I liked him. Other people didn't, and we'll go into what happened after that. But I think Scotty Lemon was on trial at the time, and so I asked if we're keeping Scotty Lemon. They said we'll try, and I rung up Bobby Wilson, and Bobby Wilson said we'll sell you in for such and such and such and such, five now and something after June, and we agreed to keep him. And then he got injured, but he was a really good player.
Yeah.
But Martin McMullen was probably the best. Ian MacArthur, because I was at Bishop Mill, I signed Ian MacArthur when he was 15, and he was outstanding. MacArthur was, as a young kid, just brilliant. And then Martin McMullen was the same. But I'm trying to think. I've negotiated with different players, but not as a manager. I mean, the two kids we had from Glasgow that were in the original team when I went down there, a guy called Paul Kazan and Alan Dempsey.
Paul Kazan, yeah.
They were just, I mean, and you couldn't want two.
Kazan was at Hearts, wasn't he?
Hearts, and Dempsey was at Hibs.
Yeah,
they'd been together, right. I think, if I remember talking to Demo, they'd been as mates since 7 or 8 years of age in the same youth teams. And one went to Hearts and one went to Hibs. So Kaz went to Hearts and Hibs, and Demo went to Hibs. And then they came to Elgin. And Demo was telling me that they were both offered, when we were at Elgin, they were both offered at least one, possibly 2 or 3 full-time contracts with other clubs, and they wouldn't take them. So happy at Elgin, which is nice, and really good. And they were two really lovely, I keep on saying lovely guys. I like character. I like to have a character that you can deal with, not somebody who's a spineless bastard or thinks he's God's gift to the world, I like people who are just get on, do the job, and play the game, and then say thanks and appreciate what they've done. And Demo and Kaz were both like that.
And quality players, as you've said as well, Graham.
Demo, Jesus, Demo's party piece. When Borough Briggs, when you come out the tunnel, he'd come out the tunnel and he'd have 2 footballs, no warm up, nothing, and he'd boot a ball over the very far over the stand with his right foot, and he'd boot another one over the top of the stand with his left foot. That's right over into the lesser Borough Briggs. That was his party piece. What a striker of a ball! It's just now I kept on saying, Demo, your frigging hamstrings, will you stop doing that? Tats, I've been doing it since I was 10 or something. You know, you just bang the ball. Every time you just come out, because we used to train at the back of Butter Briggs then with 4 candles on the top of the stanchions. What a frigging nightmare that was, training out there. You know?
How times have changed, Graham.
Ah, well, now they're moaning whinge because they don't get the Astro, don't they?
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and then if I next time you're down there, ask somebody to put the lights on at the back of Butter Briggs. There's 3 lights on the stanchions, and you can see about 1.5 foot in front of you. And at that time when I was down there with Bish, Elgin City in one of the amateurs clubs used to train at Lesser Butter Briggs, and with 3 lights. And I remember with Bish, we had 5 footballs, and one was a Adidas Tango. Can you remember the Tango?
Yeah.
And Gary George used to get a train. The only time you get early to train was so good he could get the Tango. You didn't give a shit about the other 4 balls between anybody else, you know. And so Gary used to argue for the Tango the whole night.
It's just it's a sign of the times, isn't it?
Oh, totally. No, I mean, now if they don't have the tracksuits, warm-up tops, everybody's got to have a football.
Yeah.
Best of cones, best of dummies, mannequins, everything. You know, everything's like this is not what you want to say here, because we were driving back from somewhere one night to training, and there was some old cones, some traffic cones on the side of the road. We took 7 traffic cones, and they informed our goals for the next 10 years at Butter Briggs, you know. So it was, I mean, you just picked up what you could, where you could. I mean, we had no kit at all.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one thing that I've learned, and right from when I was at Kinloss, because at Kinloss you had an officer IC football who was officer IC, then you had maybe the odd senior NCU who'd help him run it. But at Kinloss, you had the P-Ed section did the strips, and they were bought for you and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it was easy, and transport was all there for you. But when I went to Bishop Mill United, Gibby Webster, Eddie Crockett, and them, and that was all done by 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah.
They did the pitch, everything. I mean, I know we played at Butter Briggs, but the pitch and everything was being done by these guys. And it made me appreciate how important it was for the volunteers that you've got to have at your football club to make the football club function.
Yeah.
Because if you know, we've lost Caberfae, we lost Ross's Decimals. There's another one we lost as well. Three major teams in the juniors have defunct since I arrived here.
Mm-hmm.
Raf Lossy, Raf Kinloss.
Yep.
They've all gone.
Yep.
You know.
Raf Loss are now welfare.
Kinloss are a regiment side. For Murray and Forest and Nen League or something. They play.
Myself and Dominic, we've just recently reformed Bishop Mill, but it's not Bishop Mill United, it's just FC Bishop Mill.
Okay.
So we're, but that's welfare again. It's not juniors, and so there's a lot compared to what the juniors used to be. It's nothing now. I do like to see the recent revival of Lossy United, though. I think
I've got that written down here.
Yeah.
I've got the I'm just looking for the notes where we've jumped about a bit, and so where the junior clubs that disappeared, and I just said it's really good to see Lossy United.
Yeah.
Do you see how many ex-Elgin players, ex-Elgin youth players they got playing for them?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Which is good, you know. Good for Elgin, good for Lossy United.
Absolutely.
And the guy Lawrence and Alex there done a really good job.
He has
to turn that round.
Yep.
Because it's hard. I think Lossy United have tried 3 or 4 times to re-establish themselves at different levels and recover their situations, you know. But it's really, really hard work, and he's done a great job there to get that to there. And that result against East Kilbride, was it? Whichever side it was. Remember?
Auchinleck
Talbot, which is a quality side. To get that result was just fantastic, and it puts you on the map.
It does. Ryan was actually down at a game a few weeks ago. We were actually speaking about this not that long ago, and he says the match day experience down at Lossy United is brilliant. He says people that could actually just watch that through the cage, but they choose to pay to go in, and they've got football cards going about to try to raise money. There's food, drink, you know, there's all sorts. It's a proper match day experience, and I'm glad to see it. You know, it's what I think a lot of junior clubs are missing. A lot of junior clubs are run like welfare clubs these days.
Well, it's affordability again, isn't it? It's really, really difficult trying to make money. Really difficult.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're so lucky at Elgin. I say we. Elgin's so lucky. Several years ago, we attempted to. We did a raffle, £500 a ticket. 40 balls into a bag, and the one ball came out that got the sponsorship. So we sold 38, which wasn't bad at 500 quid. So we made 19 grand, you know.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of money to put the sponsorship. But McDonald Monroe as sponsors have been absolutely unbelievable for us. With Graham Morrison, then to get Miguel, it continued on. And Miguel was really, he's nobody's fool. He was quite smart. He said, look, if when I pick the Sun newspaper or the Press and Journal up on a Monday morning and you see the photographs, the size of the pictures with MacDonald Monroe and the strips and that is worth probably 800-900 quid every time, because that's how much advertising costs in the Press and Journal. And now it's even been more than that.
Yeah.
So he's nobody's fool. But also, what with MacDonald Monroe, and especially with Graham when he first got there, we got so much work done, so much electric works, plumbing. And well, I don't know how many years you've been to going to Borough Briggs, but if you look at the new toilets we've done on the right,
yep,
and the shed on the left, and all the work that's been done on the inside of the ground, inside the building, with all the lights and all the different,
absolutely,
everything, and that's all down to the sponsorship with them. I'm not saying every sponsors, but they've been terrific for us and a really good sponsor.
Yeah,
and it makes it so much easier if you can depend on that every season.
Absolutely,
and I hope it's good for them. I hope it is, really do. But it's something that I've been really proud of with them. They've been great.
Long may it continue, Graham.
I hope so.
Okay, it's actually you're foraying me well into these questions. So, how did you first become involved with Elgin City?
Oh well, that's a hard one.
There's a golden question for you now.
No, it's not a golden question. I've got to watch myself what I say, because somebody threatened to sue me a long time ago about something associated with it. What happened was, if you remember, there was a time when Elgin had a set of skill seekers, and it was being run by a guy called Kenny Black. David Robertson was the manager.
Yes.
And there was a vision of Kenny Black wanted to take over the football club and buy it. And they put up an offer to all the shareholders. And what happened, all the committee resigned except John Meakin, Spud Thompson and Norman Green. The only three who didn't resign. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have they'd got a bad, they called them the Three Amigos. A lot of people give them a lot of derogatory comments about them, but and only history, in fact history probably won't even tell it, but whether it was the right decision or the wrong decision to make, I didn't believe that Elgin should fall into somebody's hands, one person's hands. I think it was a shareholding club and I should have left it. My wife and I both had shares in Elgin, and what happened was that they came to me and asked me if I would chair the meetings for them, because I don't know, I'm not saying they didn't have the acumen, but I'm not sure if they had they were concerned about being in the front of it all when they'd been part of the problem instead of part of the solution at the time. Yeah. Now they're becoming part of the solution. So I said, yep. So I chaired some meetings, and it all came down to a day at Borough Briggs on a Thursday, and at 1 o'clock that day, Billy Robertson bought the football club. And Billy bought the football club. There was a meeting that night where the person who was trying to buy the football thought he had it. And what happened was that the way the shares are distributed, if you've got 280,000 shares, and the people who vote against you've got to have more than the 280,000 shares, because it's not done by the hand of this. It's any change to any of that's got to be done by the whole membership. There've been lots of other meetings associated with that. Jimmy Henry and Billy Lyons were quite supportive of us, but they weren't on the committee at that time. But they were really supportive. I chaired some meetings in my house with Douglas Williamson, Jimmy, Billy, and a few other people, and they were very supportive. So you had the support of a lot of people, but it was the financial support that was required. And John Meakin's uncle was Billy Robertson, and Billy. When I spoke to Billy later after it, he actually said that he didn't want the football club to change hands at a time when he was on his watch. He didn't want somebody to come in and take the football club. And I can't tell you whether it was the right decision or the wrong decision, because even time won't tell you that, because I don't know what would happen if they'd taken over. Yeah. But I didn't want his plan. The guy's plan was to turn Borough Briggs into Astro, and I hate Astro. Yeah. I think Astro is fantastic for kids to train on, to play on, to train on and be coached, because you haven't got to worry about the bounce, and they'll get a lot more touches of the ball where it's not bouncing all over the place. But I honestly believe that for professional, semi-professional or professional football should only be played on grass. I don't believe in plastic at all. I agree. And I don't know if it'll ever come in, because I think the 7 teams now submitted a statement to the SPFL to stop the progress of that, because it was going to be stopped. I think Kilmarnock have changed their minds now. I don't know what they're going to do. They're changing.
They're doing a U-turn on their plastic pitch now.
So they're going back to plastic.
They're going back to plastic, as far as I know. Yeah.
Thing is, plastic's nothing to do with playing football. Plastics is a revenue stream.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, Steny make millions. Spartans make millions on theirs. I'm not sure. I've exaggerated there. Steny don't make millions, but they make a lot of money on there because the Steny pitch is nearly used all the time. Hamilton pitch is nearly used all the time. Yeah. Well, you see lesser, but you see the Sports Community Trust pitch, how often that's used.
Yeah.
Well, if you take that and you get big money for that down in the central belt, it's worth a lot of money. Mm-hmm. That's what it's there. But for playing professional football, I'm sorry, not at all. You know, the bounce is bad. You get good bounces, bad bounces. But at least with grass, you expect it. But with plastic, you expect the bounce to be equal all the way around the line. Yeah. And also, people don't take care of them like they should because it still costs money to take care of the pitch.
It does.
We're lucky that Dave Allen does the job properly down at Elgin Sports Community Trust. It's done, taken care of.
Yeah.
But that'll have to be renewed in about 3-4 years' time, possibly. Okay. That'll be changed because the people, Sports Lab will come along and check it. And certainly the pitches, not so much Elgin Sports Community Trust pitch will have to change, but if that was a pitch that people were playing on at our level, that pitch is checked every 8 years, 7 to 8 years, and that's how long a pitch lasts normally. Then you've got to relay it. So you've got to have a sinking fund to pay for that. So it's not as cheap as everybody makes out, but it does make a lot of money, I must admit. But it's not for me, I'm afraid. I've never liked plastic pitches, and that's what the guy wanted to do with Elgin when I got involved. I didn't want that. Mm-hmm. And I just said, no, I'll get involved with you to stop that happening.
Yeah.
But as I say, with the history will tell us that or right or wrong, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I believe it's the right decision.
Absolutely.
I'll stand by what I've said all my life. That's
absolutely,
my life.
Graham.
You know?
It's you've got to try these things. You've got to try these things, and like we've seen from evidence. He's talking about Kilmarnock there. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. How many complaints have Kilmarnock had over the last 5 years from other teams?
Montrose was the worst one in the world at one time. Yep. I'm not saying it's bad now, but it's just not. It's not a good surface. I don't know. I don't know how long we've had them now. 10, 15 years is it? Mm-hmm. But I think in another 10 or 15 years, somebody will come and say all those knee injuries, all these hamstring problems, all these things have been because there's no give. Because the studs. I mean, I know you're different, but when you run and you put your foot down, there's no give at all. It just stops. Yeah. And that's just putting stress and pressure on all your joints, especially your knee. And there's got to be something going on with women at the moment. The amount of ACLs that women are getting, it's phenomenal. And
from the plastic pitches.
I don't know if it's plastic pitch. I wouldn't say that because somebody will shoot me down, and I'm not a medical expert, and I don't know. But I think research needs to be looked at to see if that's got anything to do with whether women are totally different to us, obviously. But I mean, whether they've got some sort of body difference or something that makes them susceptible to ACL injuries. But there's been a lot this year, hasn't there?
Yeah, it's it always seems a bit more frightening. There's not much give in them.
There's no give. No,
the Astros, it's
when you're young and little, you can get away with that.
Yeah, I agree. So your involvement with Elgin, you kind of before I'm building up to my next question. So
I'll go back on Elgin. Yeah. With Elgin, I got called down. Mm-hmm. I went down. I took over for so many weeks. Mm-hmm. And then they brought Ian Fleming.
Yeah, okay.
And Ian Fleming came in, and I didn't particularly like his style. It's different people got different things, and he asked me to be his assistant, and he took me to the Royal and said, "Look, I've heard good things about you." And I said, "Well," I says, "you don't know me, and I don't know you. We'll have a look at it, And then I didn't last. He didn't want me there. He obviously somebody in the committee had told him, said, "Look, Graham Tatters is a good lad," or something. Probably telling lies, but anyway. So I just left after that. But there was you can't be an assistant to somebody if you can't get on with them, because I mean it's just not possible. You need to, and that's why so many managers take their assistants with them, because they've got the rapport, they've got the people that have them. Newcastle. Well, Man United, he changed it a little bit, but he had Brian Kidd for a long time. He had Archie Knox for a long time. Mm-hmm. Walter had Archie Knox for a long time. You need to be able to get on with them, and if you can't get on with them, it's no good. So I think I've been manager 3 or 4 times at different occasions in the history. I was assistant to Brian Irvin. Maybe all the failures have been down to me, but it could be. But anyway, I've been assistant. I was the director with John Meakin and them. I became a director so I could take votes at the AGM. Yeah, to be part of the committee to set up in front of people. I did that. Then I did management after that a little bit. I was director of football. as a director, and then I became chairman, and then I just resigned, as I say, just after last year after my wife died.
Yeah. So you've been pretty much everything apart from a player, Graham.
No, I did have one game. Believe it, you had one game.
You had one game.
That's a lie. 5 minutes, I think.
Okay, tell us.
After the debacle at Forres, right? Sorry, it wasn't a debacle. After we'd won the league at Forres, and the euphoria was just unbelievable, right? So the Saturday we had off, and people were still trying to recover. So we played Dundee on the Sunday to trial match for Michael Teasdale.
Now we've heard about this match on the podcast before. Okay, did you play in that match?
No, John put me on for 5-6 minutes at the end of the game to give, because I'd been trying to. I mean, I was really keen. I should take part in the training. I wasn't good enough for that anyway. He put me on. He says in the shouts, "Tats!" and I went as a corner.
Yeah,
which is the worst time to substitute. Is in defensive corner, so he put me on, and there was a guy that's supposed to mark, and he frigging scored, and they went ballistic at me, you know. So that was my only time to run out for Elgin City. It didn't end very well.
So you're leading me so nicely into these questions, Graham. It's unbelievable, because we're just a way to talk about that kind of little period. I asked the exact same question to John Teasdale. And it turns out the BBC went and made a documentary about his answer to that. Can I get your side of what happened in 1992, 1993? Your view through your eyes, Graham. Because everyone seems to agree with what happened, and it's unjust and wrong and things, but everyone's got like their own view on things and their own little bits of the information that keep getting added to. So from your point of view, what happened?
From my point of view, you've got to remember there was no TMS system at the time.
Yeah.
So there was no record of who was suspended and who wasn't.
That's right, yeah.
So that nobody knew. Forres applied probably from guidance from us, because as I just said to you, that we were playing Dundee to give Michael a trial game on the Sunday. So they'd arranged the game, a friendly, and we asked Forres if they'd play the Friday. So Forres made the application to play on the Friday.
Yeah.
So the Highland League sanctioned that. So the game was played in Forres on the Friday. So during that game, I don't know who it was, somebody mentioned to somebody else that there was 2 players would have been suspended if we played on a Saturday. But it made no earthly difference to the result.
Yep.
Because we won 6-0, was it?
Yes,
6-0. And you know, a lot of people forget that in one of the guys, one of the unsung heroes at that time for us was, you had Leon, who was just a massive, huge person. Kevin Will. People forget about Kevin Will. He scored 23 goals that season as well.
Crazy.
You know, he's really good. But they decided on that after the game, which we won, and no matter what anybody says, they could take it off us on Tuesday, but on that Friday night, we won that frigging league, because I tell you what, the club was absolutely buzzing. I remember Cyril Cruikshank, God rest his soul, danced on tables and everything. It was just unbelievable. The whole place was absolutely hopping, bouncing. It was fantastic. So they couldn't take that away from us. So we'd won the league. And then, unfortunately, it came out, and Robin Stewart resigned. Okay. He resigned on the Monday.
Yep.
He should never have made a statement at the meeting. He shouldn't have been allowed to speak. He shouldn't have been allowed to talk. He wasn't a representative of Elgin City Football Club. They discussed it, and probably the two, they'll deny it, but probably two of the biggest protagonists to get it stopped, to get us to lose it, was probably Alan McRae and Sandy Stables.
Yeah.
Both vice presidents of the SFA.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why they did that, and I can tell you categorically that Sandy, I spoke to Sandy many years later in the Elgin City boardroom as chairman, and he categorically told me it was the worst decision he ever made in Scottish in football. Worst decision he ever made.
Yeah.
Never ever would he ever do it again. And they made the decision. Somebody proposed it. Somebody seconded it, and then something that they've never done before, they made the decision at meeting on show of hands. That meeting should have gone back to their clubs to discuss it with the committees of the clubs. It should never made the decision on that night.
Yep.
And the people at that meeting should have hung their heads in shame for what they've done, because it was absolutely shocking. They could think it was right, and they could hold their hand and say, I think I made the right decision, but they had no right to make that decision. That meeting, those guys should have gone back to their clubs and discuss it with the various committees.
Absolutely.
And they should hang their heads in shame
Yes.
and embarrassment, because you've got the 100th year of the Highland League and it says not awarded, which is absolutely criminal. And it basically, whether people want to say it or not, and you got to watch what you say, because somebody might try and be smart with the legal side of things, but it probably goes down to 2 or 3 different games where JT wound people up.
Yeah.
Certainly, I would think the Keith game where we end up playing with 8 people.
Yep.
But what they forget was we'd substituted 3, and Ian MacArthur got a really bad knock on his ankle. And John said, just get off. And I shouted, John, you cannot take him off. It's down to 8. He said, just get him off. He's limping. Get him off. Don't any more damage. And that put us down to 8 men. And unfortunately, or fortunately, we absolutely battered them. And it was still time. And Sandy Stables went absolutely ballistic. And of course, that was red rag to bull with John, because John was the sharpest. His wit. Yep. His wit is so sharp. He's really, really, really good at it. And he just wound him up, Sandy was easy wound up anyway, but he really wound Sandy up. Cove, with a game at Cove, 3-2 game, when John Campbell was referee, and the pitch was pretty bad, and they had the photographer taking pictures at half-time trying to get the game stopped, and they wouldn't stop it. John Campbell, lossy referee, I'm sure he was the referee, and he wouldn't stop the game. We won that one 3-2, and that was a sort of crunch period for Cove.
Yes.
But if you talk to Dave Watson will tell you we were by far the best team.
100%.
You talk to people outside of who were playing for other teams, they will tell you that we were by far the best team.
Yep.
We were heading. I mean, you look at it: Hinchy, Furphy, Neef, MacArthur, Soapy, Russell, Mikey Teasdale, Kevin Will, Leons, John MacDonald, Dallas, Moore, Porter, Chris Maguire, and Peter Maguire. You take any one of those guys, that midfield would have graced any standard of football.
Yeah,
really, it was just that period of time. With John was a good manager. He didn't have any friends. He didn't care. He just wanted to win. I remember we beat Rothes, I think it was 9-0. Okay. And Leon scored a hat-trick, took Leon's off, put Maguire on. Maguire scored a hat-trick. John Teasdale that night had 5 one-on-ones with the goalkeeper and squared them to somebody else to put them into an empty net. Didn't care who scored, didn't look for any glory or nothing. Yeah. And that's the difference. And he had that. And as I say, he's Marmite. I'm not repeating myself. He's Marmite, and you either liked him or you didn't. Mm-hmm. But he could not wind people up. Yep. And I think a lot of people let their jealousy rule their brain when they did that. Yes. And if they didn't like John's style and that. And I just think that the decision was made from jealousy as opposed to on a football decision. And it should never have ever been made by the people with that meeting. And Robin Stewart shouldn't have been allowed to make a statement, because Robin Stewart was very emotional about it, because he was a solicitor, and he was of the opinion that John had let him down by changing the game and not telling anybody what he changed it for, Yeah. So then he made a statement at the meeting, and then I think a lot of people took that as the being the reason why they voted against it. Yeah. But it shouldn't have been done with emotions running that high in that day.
Absolutely. The fact, as you say, it should have went back to the committees.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. It should have been voted through. And the point I always make, Graham, is if you want to deduct Elgin the points for that Forest game, take the 3 points off them, they still win the league.
Yep, by 4 points. But it was that's what tells you it wasn't anything to do. They wanted to get John. Yeah. And the thing was it was all the people who followed the club that year, all the players, everybody. And you look at the history, the 100th anniversary not awarded. How could they be that stupid?
It's ridiculous.
And then they're all saying, but it was appealed against the SFA. Aye, and what happens? You've got two of the senior vice presidents on the committee that made the decision, and the SFA is going to turn around and not back them. Yeah. No chance. Yeah, exactly. And the SFA said, I hope it never happens again, and they then tightened up, and now we've got TMC, the system where the notification of suspension if it comes through. TMS. That comes through. Mm-hmm. So that comes through. So they've changed the system. It wouldn't have happened if the TMS had been. But in the end, what disappoints us is that the two players, good players, but Kevin was a good player. I think Kevin might have been one of them. I'm not sure. Kevin and John McDonald, I think it was. Or it might have been Kevin. It might have been John Teasdale and John McDonald.
It was
John McDonald.
John and John. Yeah,
2 Johns. I thought. I wasn't sure if Kevin was part of it. But and then there's things about betting and everything. But the bottom line was that they for the sake of 90 minutes at Forres on that night, they stopped the whole season's worth of, just ruined the whole season with the football. Yep. So what did everybody play for that year? What did everybody play for?
Absolutely nothing.
And they really should. It's never going to happen. Nobody's ever going to change it. I think a lot of people were frightened that John would sue them because it did hammer John's career. Mm-hmm. John could have.
He said that himself.
I think John could have been a manager. I think he could have been a manager, but you'd need somebody along some really, really strong personality alongside of him to try and keep him, to try and stop him. He's really, really witty and he's sharp as a tack.
Yeah,
and his wit sometimes. If you're quick with the answer sometimes at times, and people don't like the answer, and then you say something, and he comes back again because you couldn't take him on joke for joke or wit for wit. You couldn't take him on. He was quick as anything.
Yeah,
sharp.
Yeah, And it's, as you say, he's a Marmite guy. Thankfully, we got the good side of him on this podcast. I quite like John. I think he's a character.
I think he made a few statements that he shouldn't have made. I think personally, and I like John. I really do. I think he should have left Jimmy Hendry out of the thing he said about Jimmy Hendry, because I think what happens is John, I sat in meetings with John, and John was really, really smart about football. Yeah. But he didn't understand the economics. Sometimes I think he thought that everything should revolve around the first team. And I've been on the other side of that seat. I've seen it where the managers, people keep on saying, you need to spend money, you need to spend money, you need to spend money. Yeah, you do need to spend money. But you've also got to try and keep the football club afloat.
That's it.
And anything you do spend it's got to be so that you can then still go back and pay the other bills.
Absolutely.
So the playing side of things is what it's all about. Mm-hmm. But if you can't pay electricity bill, or you can't play the players,
it's all for nothing.
You end up where Cali are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's Jimmy. Jimmy was careful, and you've got to look at what Billy Lyons, Frank Masson, all these guys. They kept that club going.
Yeah.
And they gave John a team. John created the team. I mean, he found Willie Furphy. He did. Higgins got him Willie Furphy, the guy from the SPFA. Mm-hmm. He got him. He said Furphy's available. Hinchcliffe. And Hinchcliffe, I think he was only 18 or 19 when he came to us. Yeah. What a friggin' goalkeeper. Absolutely outstanding. Really, really outstanding. He made a save against Stewart. The whole of the Lossy stand, I was sitting there in this Lossy stand, the whole of the Lossy stand went up when he headed this ball, and friggin' Hinchcliffe closed it out the top right-hand corner. And he just deflated them. We beat them something 4-1 or 4-2 after that, and that would have been a close game if they'd got that goal.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable, Hinchy.
Yeah.
And then Willie Furphy was just another class above everybody. He would have been. He was playing for, I think it was Ayr, mm-hmm. and I think Kilmarnock offered 350 grand for him. And the boy Burley wouldn't let him go because he wouldn't let Furphy play sweeper because Burley wanted to play a sweeper. He wanted Furphy to play midfield, but he wouldn't let him go. So he ended up coming back to us because he couldn't get another game in the Scottish Professional Football League, and he came to us. And the guy was what a player!
Yeah,
absolutely. And that was another thing at that Keith game. When he and really the boy Thane who played for Keith was a really nice bloke, really good keeper, really good lad. And Willie Furphy ran to take the penalty, just dinked it top right hand corner. And it was cruel, really. But especially the Tainer, because such a good keeper, and Tainer just fell on the floor. He couldn't do nothing about it. And Willie just walked back, and the whole of the crowd in the far side of the stand in the shed went mental because it was all Elgin people.
Aye.
And went mental, and I think that epitomised why Sandy Stables went friggin' ballistic,
Yeah,
and it's sad, really sad. But
yeah, it's a chapter that's we've visited a few times on this podcast, and I'm sure we'll visit it again, Graham. It's great to get another insight into it, though, and
I think there's nothing, I think it's going to go. It's got a history. Nothing's going to change it now.
I don't think so.
But what you've got to look at is the only thing that disappoints me is that probably one of the best players in the Highland League at the time. I think one of the really, really fantastic players, Neef. I think Neef was outstanding.
Yes,
and it stopped Neef getting it. For a player his quality, not to get a championship medal. Mm-hmm. I think he might have. I think he might have got one when he was with Pelly. Probably
he got one with Pelly. Yeah.
So people like Neef and that.
But there was guys like Soapy and that who had to give back their medals.
Soapy, but Big Soapy had one with Forres.
He had one with Forres.
So that's about
maybe guys like Sammy Leonce,
Dallas, Graham Dallas, Sammy Leonce, Chris Maguire, Peter Maguire.
all these guys
John
having to
McDonald.
give back their medals.
Michael Teasdale.
There you go.
What a player. Mm-hmm. What a player. I mean, guy could run through, he'd just run through anything. I mean, when he started running, nobody could stop him.
Yep.
MacArthur went on to play really well for Cali, but never got a medal, and had to give it up.
It's sad.
Peter
It's
Maguire,
sad.
another one, could tackle like a bulldozer. Just tremendous.
Unbelievable.
Are you getting Peter Maguire on?
I'm working my way through
Don't
this.
get him on, because all he'll tell you is that he played against Gascoigne. He'll say nothing. He'll just tell you how he
I'm
played
here
against
for the Gascoigne stories.
No, he played against. That's his claim to fame. All the guys in the fire brigade know it all around the world. Is that Maggie played against Gascoigne.
Love it. In your 30 years, how many years did you say you've been associated with Elgin altogether, Graham? What would you say your first association kind of round about what time?
Oh God, I'm trying to think. I don't know when I managed Bish. I managed Bish, and Bish played out of Elgin, out at Borough Briggs then.
Mm-hmm.
So I managed Bish, and then I left with Bish and went with John. So when was John manager? When was he first manager?
John was first manager in 89, I think.
I was about 88 then when I first got
Yeah.
involved. I was 87, 88, 86, 87, 88 with Bish. And then John asked me to be a manager, get in with him. So I joined Elgin with John.
So we're coming up 40 years, Graham. In your 40 years, who do you reckon you've seen is the best player you've seen play for Elgin?
Play for Elgin or against? You did mention one of the questions.
Play for.
You said at Borough Briggs, you said the first time. You said who's the best player you've seen play at Elgin?
Who's the best player you've seen see it?
At Elgin?
For Elgin.
For Elgin?
For Elgin.
I'm not going to answer that one.
No.
I've got about...
You can give me a couple of names if you want. There's, like, obviously we go back to guys like John and Pele and things, but your modern guys... I always look at players like I'm maybe showing my age here by not picking older guys, but I look at the partnership like Brian Cameron and Shane Sutherland had together when them two guys were on fire. Shane was probably one of the best players I've seen at Elgin. I've seen him in 3 or 4 stints at Elgin actually.
You and me both.
But there was guys like JP McGovern.
JP,
yeah.
I think we didn't get the best of him. I think he'd seen the best of the people.
You saw glimpses of
quality.
Yeah,
Don McVicker.
Don McVicker. We've had a few mentions of Don on here.
Really
yeah,
quality. I think probably it's a real toss up between Russell and Soapy.
Yeah,
two Soapies and Russell.
Yeah,
they were. I mean, Russell was. For the size of Russell, I think he was about probably 10.5 stone soaking wet when he was younger, And Christ, when you see him tackle, Jesus. And his legs, he had a really bad accident when he was younger. One of his legs is, really, really scarred and everything.
Yeah.
Never seen to bother him. What a player. Quality. I remember playing against him when he was a young kid at Burghead. Christ, he battered us to death. Now we were all men playing he was just a young kid playing at Burghead Thistle.
Yeah.
And Elgin picked him up. He was another one, I think. I'm not dead certain, but he might have went down to Leicester, I think, with Nicky and Woody and them.
You mentioned that, yeah.
Possibly David McConaughey. I'm not sure. David. Yeah, possibly one or two other guys. I think they went down. David McConaughey. No, not David McConaughey. Who was the rugby player?
He went down with. He went to
Colin McCartney.
I remember Russell saying he went to Dundee United trials. I think it was with Gary Wood. Him and Gary
I thought
Wood.
that was Leicester.
Yeah, I think you're right enough, Graham. And Gary Wood was the other one he mentioned. That went on trials with him.
Yep.
Okay.
And young Soapy and old Soapy. Soapy probably. I'm saying that because nostalgia. Because I think he was when he did his knee up. I went to see him quite regularly now, and he was very supportive of me when in times when things weren't good.
Yeah,
he wouldn't let people. When things were wrong, he'd tell people just to freaking wind the neck. Said he was quite supportive of me. He's always been loyal, big Soapy, and Brian's very much the same. Brian's very much in the same mold as him, except I think possibly might not like to hear, but I think Brian might have been a better player.
Yeah.
I'm not dead. I wouldn't like to stand up with Soapy and tell him that, but Brian couldn't play where Soapy's played.
Yeah.
Big Soapy. I don't think he could play left back or right back.
No, and for somebody who's played midfield for his pretty much 90% of his career, he's almost 500 games, almost 100 goals for Elgin. So it's a 1 in 5 return he's got. He's always had an eye, young Soapy, for goals and things. Flip side of that question, Graham, who do you think is the best player you've faced at Elgin?
Not me, but the teams that I've played in.
The teams you've played in.
Well, we could. It's like a who's who of Scottish football there, because you've got the night when we played Celtic with John Collins, Paul McStay.
Yeah.
We both playing that night.
Brilliant.
Did we win?
No.
Yeah, we did. We won 3-2.
Did we?
Aye, of course we did. Christ, Mark Walkie and somebody else scored. I can't remember.
That's before my time, Graham.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I've managed Elgin.
So that would have
season
been
when they played Rangers and Celtic and beat them both.
You're talking maybe 95, 96, round about then?
Oh, I can't remember.
McStay in that year, he finished up in 97, McStay.
John Collins, there was seven internationals on the park.
John Collins was there from 92 to 96, I think, and then he went to Monaco.
In fact, it was just after that, and it's a sad thing, is that, who was the centre half who got killed in a car crash or something? Being with G, Gallagher, no, Galloway, centre half. He played, I think centre half or centre midfield, played for Celtic, and he went down south and got killed in a car crash just not long after that.
I think Galloway is ringing a bell.
But anyway, he was playing as well. There was some really Lee, somebody from in England.
Is it Gallagher? Brian Gallagher?
Can't remember, no, I can't remember now. Really, really lovely.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could see why they couldn't cope with Hateley, because Sammy Leon's run riot against them that night.
Okay,
absolutely right. I mean,
big man.
Yeah. Hateley had the same effect on them, if you remember.
Absolutely,
at the time.
Yeah.
But we won 3-2, and
that's mental.
We beat Rangers as well the same season.
Crazy. Yeah.
Tiger will tell you about it. If you get Tiger on, he'll tell you about it. He remembers it better than me. And Davy, but the best one probably Davy Cooper.
Davy Cooper. Yeah.
In I think it was it Neef's Testimonial?
Right. Yeah. Rangers. Yeah.
Rangers. Davy Cooper. I thought Davy Cooper was just outstanding quality. Just looked like a younger Soapy. Just he could run and just everything about his control.
Yeah,
he's really good.
It's natural. Okay, right. Here's a big question for this one, Graham. How difficult was it moving from the Highland Football League to the Scottish League system? Because this is a big question. And
I don't think there's any problem moving to the SFL.
Yeah,
the SFL wasn't a problem because there was no relegation.
Yes, exactly.
So you had to be voted in. Mm-hmm. We'd lost the vote after the 92-93 debacle, and really we thought the people that were running our application at that time thought they'd walk in hands up, walked no problem at all. Well, it didn't. I think Ross County got in instead of us. I'm not dead certain.
Yeah.
I think it was Ross County. So that really hurt them. I think when we got in the SFL, the things that changed. One thing that changed immediately was that the club was very much empty after a game. You didn't have any players left. There was nobody stayed after 5 o'clock. The players had to take up a far better professional attitude to everything. The pressure was totally different. Transport, the expectation. The players expected more than what they were getting. They expected better wages, better facilities, better training gear, everything. Everybody wanted the best of stuff, and rightly so, because they were playing against teams that all had that as well. You know. I think the competition and the quality of the players that you're playing against, you ended up playing against in the Highland League. I mean, we were not so much at that time, probably not the best team we had when we went into the league, but in the years prior to that, we had probably the best. We were one of the best teams in the Highland League over the last 30 or 40 years. We had a bad run for a while, but we were probably one of the best teams in the Highland League. And it was really when Peterhead got in, when Cali got in and Ross County got in ahead of us, that was probably a bit of a travesty, because we should have been in there long before we were, but obviously that happened. I think the cost of the players' wages, and that caused a problem. Very difficult you had to really start working hard. We worked hard anyway, but you had to really start working hard. And then we joined the SPFL. Yeah. The SPFL was a little bit better because the sponsorship changed. So Sky took the SPFL, and things were quite good with the SPFL. We got a better sponsorship. But a lot of people lose track of the sponsorship. I think when I was chairman, take the year Newcastle got relegated from the Premier League. Newcastle got 96 million when they got relegated. Yeah. The whole of Scottish football sponsorship that year was 22.1 million.
There you go.
So the difference in it.
That's crazy.
But the SPFL still, Neil Doncaster does a tremendous job. I mean, again, I think there's a lot of people go on about him, but The guy's, if you ever sit down and talk to him, he's absolutely a quality person, a lovely person to talk to, very, very smart.
Yeah.
He talks at a good rate, but as he's talking to you, you know he's thinking all the time. He's an ex-lawyer, so you know he's thinking all the time, and he says all the right answers, says all the right things, but he's a really genuine person. And people can say what they want about him, but I think that he does a great job. Personally, I think he's done. I like the guy, so he's done a great job as far as I'm concerned. And so the sponsorship changed a lot. So you had to find a lot bigger sponsors, and that's where we were so lucky to get McDonald Monroe in the last 10, 12, 13 years. I think we've had McDonald Monroe, maybe even more than that. Been phenomenal to get that sponsorship, and the other guys that have all sponsored along with it. You still require all the volunteers. The club would fold. The club would fold if we didn't have the volunteers. When I go down to the boot room on a Monday morning after a game on a Saturday, there's 7 guys just walking on the pitch, repairing the pitch. You've got Cecil, you've got Jim Grant, you've got bloody Jim Farker, Neil Cruikshank, David Cruikshank, Gordon from the auctions. All there just helping out. Everybody comes down. Geordie Grant is a really good lad. He's a lad who helps us do everything. Yeah. All the buildings that we've done, Geordie Grant and Brian Dunbar have done all the work. And these guys don't take any money. No, all volunteers.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if we lose them, so you've got to keep them on side, because if you lose them, you've then got to start paying somebody. Especially if you had to pay somebody what Cecil does, it'd be horrendous if you could even get anybody to do
wages.
Half of what. I was just going to say, even if you could find somebody to do half of what he does.
Yeah.
Sad that he lost his wife. She was really lovely, but from a spiteful point of view, if Cecil had his wife, he'd still be going home at nights, whereas he just works. He's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He's the grumpiest bastard you've ever met in your life.
Yes, yep.
But if you take that from him, you wouldn't want anybody else to. He's fantastic at what he does. So and then we come to the SPFL and then the pyramid system. And the pyramid system, as far as I understand why everybody talks about merit system. I was in the Air Force, and promotion, when towards the end they took away automatic promotion and made it merit promotion. So I believed in merit promotion. I did quite well. I got promoted early. Yep. So I believe that if you're good enough, you should get promoted. The problem is in the SPFL now, with the merit system and Club 42, is that we are in a really, really poor position geographically.
Yes.
So we're paying a premium for players, and we've also people go on about you travel every youth game we go to down south. It's probably $1,000 for a bus, and it should have been 2 teams travelling every time. They're not. They won't travel to us, and they make us, so we travel to them. I think I went to one meeting where one team had never been to Ross County, and they're still playing in the same league. They've never travelled, which is criminal. It's you just. Oh, they might have been there, but not as regular as they should have been.
Yeah.
And the people want. I understand it's a national league, and people want to try and break it up to be geographical. I understand that as well, because in the end, if you broke it up, we'd probably not have to travel beyond, say, Stirling or beyond just as far as Perth or something, and that would help.
That would be it.
Get the all the East Coast and all that sort of thing. But we joined a national league, but the problem is we're at a hindrance, because we've got to pay all that money every single week when we play, or every second week when we travel as a first team. These other teams, they can play midweek if they want, because they're less than half an hour. Edinburgh to Glasgow, just sit in that belt, and you can sit in the second division, the second division, first division clubs can just sit there, and then hardly spend any money. They probably use their cars instead of buses all the time. I don't know if they do, but it could be used cars. The only time they use the bus is when they come to Elgin, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really expensive. And the pyramid system, I just feel it's not a level playing field for us because of that, and it's put so much pressure on us.
Yeah.
When I was chairman, we had a really good guy running everything called Martin Hunter. The Rangers ticket Salgi was another thing. I let him down really badly, but if you take that away from him, I let him down, but he was really, really honourable, and he stuck by this as a football club. He could have resigned, he didn't. He stayed by it, and we were probably turning over 350 to 400,000 £.
Yeah.
And now we're turning over just short of $1 million, or just maybe $750,000.
Yeah.
And of that, very little's profit, because the expectation and the entitlement that all these players think they should have, and it's very, very hard to get loyalty. So you've got to. I mean, they'll want the football club to do well, and they'll give you everything they've got. but they want the premium that goes along with that.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what happens with professional. I'm not complaining about that. That's what happens with professional. It happens at every level. Anything. If you had a job and you got offered by somebody else in the factory, in another factory, more money, you'd go.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in football. Yeah. So it's very, very hard. So we're at it's really difficult for us because these guys any guys who travel up from down south, you know, they'll play for us for a season, then they're picked up by some of the other clubs in the second and third, than it was in the first and second now, and immediately they're getting offered maybe it's not probably as much money, possibly even more, but they're thinking, hang on, I could be home by 8 o'clock most nights instead of 11:30 at night.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I admire the loyalty of Jimmy McKenzie, who was the catalyst of Demo and Kaz and all them, but they stuck by us for a long time, you know. Mm-hmm. And people like, you know, we've had good players. Paul was another one. Yeah. Polly was outstanding. What a club player. He was really good. They could have gone on to the people that stood by you, they've been loyal, but you've paid them, you know. Yeah. But I think the money the money side of things really caught up to us, and it's good. It's really difficult to try to budget, you know.
Yeah, as you say, Graham, it's not a level playing field. They make it out to be, but it's not.
Oh no, and you know, I mean, you can see now with the your teams that are trying to get at the Lowland League. Mm-hmm. The Lowland League was created by about 4 teams so that they could get promoted into the league, and then they brought it in, and now you've got the B teams are in there.
Yep.
You've got teams that will never ever get promoted.
No.
And all they're doing is making the league up so that your Spartans and all these people in Edinburgh City can get promoted into the league.
100%.
And they got all that money, and we're struggling to try and maintain the standards we've got.
Yep.
And the pitch, we haven't got an Astro pitch, rightly so. I mean, I wouldn't be there if we had an Astro pitch. I wouldn't have been there. And I mean, we spent 26 grand on it, just sorting it out last season. Last season, I think it was. We had people 26 grand.
Yeah.
And now we spend maybe 10, 15 grand on a pitch a year.
Yeah.
That's money that other people don't have to spend, the people with Astro pitches.
Exactly.
And then the people that don't own their own pitches, they pay, I don't know how much they pay to rent it and to play a game.
It's not as much as that, though.
No. So you've got people like Clyde and people like Edinburgh City who travel for ages. Cove themselves didn't play at their own ground. Remember, they played... They came in the league. They didn't have a ground when they came in the league.
No, they used to have that that tiny little weird
postage stamp.
That pitch that was horrible to play on.
Allen Park or something.
Yeah.
Terrible pitch.
Yeah.
Lovely surface, beautiful grass surface. Yeah. But I mean, you're never out the game. You could kick from one or the other.
Everything was on top of you,
right down to left, and then you were sitting in the dugout. You could put your foot in the dugout and you're touching the touchline. Yeah, that close.
That's mental.
But anyway, I think it was mainly the fact that as much as they like to think that it's a level playing field, it's not.
No.
Not where we are. The Central Belt is a level playing field where they've got that much sponsorship and everything. Mm-hmm. And going back to it, I think we're just really, really lucky that we've got McDonald Monroe sponsoring us. Yeah, because they've been really supportive to us.
Absolutely. Okay, that's been a fantastic insight in Elgin for the last hour and a bit, Graham. We get a different insight because you've been in at so many levels of the club that you're able to give us these little snippets. It's great. The last couple of questions before we go into your 11, I'm just going to get us off Elgin and just onto a bit more general football. These are some of my favourite questions because I like to get people's personal just opinion on things. Who is the greatest ever footballer in your own opinion, Graham?
Jesus whipped. I go back. I'm 75.
Yeah.
So I go back a long way.
That's why I like to ask, because you're not going to have a Messi or a Ronaldo in there. You might have a Messi, but chances are you're going to have a different answer for me.
I'd have said Maradona if he hadn't put his freaking punch the goal in against us. I think Maradona was outstanding. I think Pele. Mm-hmm. I think possibly Eusebio.
Yeah, it's a name I've not heard on here before.
And I thought Bobby Charlton was outstanding.
Yep,
outstanding. And I think I saw Jim Baxter.
Okay,
and you look at him and what a spindly git he was, but what a quality player. Yeah. I think it's modern times now. The game has changed so much. I don't know if you remember. There's a famous show of when Best playing against Chelsea, and the pitch is like a frigging quagmire.
I've seen
and
that.
He's running through, and about 4 Chelsea players, McCready, and about 2 others have a go at him, and he just jumps around them and he scores the goal, and he walks back and puts his hand up like a toreador. And that's the sort of thing you couldn't get that now. The pitches are immaculate. The guys can't tackle. You're not getting lumps kicked off you.
Yep.
You know, and these. So I think the era, I think that they're really soft soaped. You know, they're really taken care of. There's no real hassle or nothing, and you know, you might get the odd tackle, but nothing serious.
No.
And I think these guys can now play football. You know, and they're getting the opportunity to play football and express their talent. And that's rightly so, because that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
But people like Davy Cooper, people like Jimmy Johnson. In fact, I should have mentioned Jimmy Johnson, of course, because he played for Elgin.
Yeah.
He's one of the best players.
Yeah.
So I forgot to mention Jimmy Johnson. But you look at these players, and they took it when they're getting lumps kicked off them. Mm-hmm. You know, and I mean literally lumps. You know,
just get up and get on with it.
Get on with it. Get on with it. Nowadays, you know, they'll be rolling around from one side of the pitch to the other.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember my dad telling me about Jimmy Johnston. He used to take on Sandy Jardine, and Sandy Jardine would kick him, he would go down, and Jimmy Johnston would take it back in front of him just to go past him again, just because he could, you know. And
he destroyed England fullback Terry Cooper.
That's right.
In a game against Leeds.
He was voted the man of the match in Alfredo Di Stefano's testimonial in the Bernabeu.
Was he?
Yeah. They played against Celtic, and Celtic beat them 1-0, and Jimmy Johnson scored that night. And who is this wee guy? Because he was just a wee guy.
He's only tiny.
Yeah, 5'5".
But Scotland had about 3 or 4. This guy, was there not 2 at Rangers? One called Johnson.
Willie Johnson,
and another one. There's another one at Rangers who I can't remember.
Derek Johnson as well.
No, the little guy, little wingers. You had several of them at that time. Charlie Cook. Charlie Cook was at Chelsea, and Willie Morgan at Man United.
Willie Morgan, that's a name. Yeah,
there's several good, really good wing players, and I mean Newcastle have got one at the moment, the boy Gordon. It's coming back where people understand how many goals are coming from crosses.
Yeah.
So you're getting these wing. I mean, I know you got a number 9, you can the false 10s or whatever you call this shit. But at the end of the day, you know, I think get a ball out wide and put it in the box, and it becomes a 50-50, doesn't it?
I think we're starting to see the comeback of the number 9 these days.
Aye, yeah, well, look at the big lad Wood at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Isaac.
I always go back to the Euros in Germany, the big guy Füllkrug. They had the German guy, they had proper centre forward, as I call them, and it's good. What's your first World Cup memories, Graham? Because this is normally the birth of football in a young man's life.
There's people on the pitch. They think it's all over. It is now.
Wow. Okay. Is that your first World Cup memories?
66. Yeah.
How old would you have been?
I was 16.
Yeah.
Sitting watching the youth club at Long Benton. Just unbelievable. Because they've got a big TV it was then about 24-inch, I think it was.
Yeah.
In the one of the rooms in the youth club, and we're all sitting there watching. And we watched all the games, watching North Korea, Portugal. All the games come through, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just phenomenal. I'll never forget. I can't remember. There was a Portugal played somebody in the 5-4, so I can't remember what it was, but there's some great games. Ratton, spatting his what's his name's face, got sent off. Right, Argentinian captain. Bobby Charlton's goal against Mexico. He went through and he just hit this thing. Christ almighty.
And what a team England had as well.
Aye.
You know, it was a lot
Mind you, keep on for you Scots. I mean, I know we played every game at home. I know the goal might not have been over the line, but the bottom line is it was over the line, because it freaking says that if you look at history, we won it 4-2.
Aye,
you know.
It's I go back to all them players were big players at their club in England at the time. Aye. And you look at the West Ham, basically the select they've got.
But you're going about West Ham, but if I don't know how old are you?
I'm 33.
Oh, so just a young boy. In the 60s, right?
Yeah.
If in the 70s, you go back and you look, and one of the problems with the Scotland team now at the moment is that you've got very, very few players playing at the top level in England, because we've got mostly Africans and Koreans and all that now, right? Yeah. So at one time, certainly Newcastle and all these Liverpool's team were Scots, Man United's team was Scots, Leeds' team was Scots, West Ham had none.
Ah, right, okay.
No Scots at West Ham.
And I remember there being a strong Scottish contingent at Arsenal for a wee while in the 80s.
McClintock, George Graham, all that lot. And then Leeds, you had Lorimer, Gray, Bremner. Yeah. There was another one. Harvey. Scottish goalkeeper, wasn't he? David Harvey.
I think you're right. I think you're right enough, yeah.
So then you had Leeds, Liverpool, you had Hansen, Nichols, Souness,
Dalglish.
Right. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Man United,
Buchan,
McQueen, Jordan, Willie Morgan, Lou McCarry.
Stevie Patterson.
Stevie Patterson. He didn't play for Scotland, but you had all these players. Scotland was full. Every team in the first division had Scottish players playing there.
Yeah,
everyone.
Exactly.
And now it's just not happening.
It doesn't. And
now you're taking guys out of. I think it's some guy playing from Australia, isn't there? Some non-league team. I'm not sure, but it's really struggling for quality players.
Yeah,
sad.
It's as I say, it's changed times, Graham. It's just, you don't get football like you used to anymore. 1-11 time, Graham.
1-11.
Yeah.
I think you gave me a little bit more than 11.
You give me maybe 13, 14, but it's okay. There's some good names in there. I'm going to read through it and I'm just going to pick out a couple of names.
Okay.
Hinchcliffe, MacArthur, Neefy, Furphy, Soapy, Mackay. You got both Teasdales in there. Sammy Leonce, Maguire, Polworth, Patterson, and McMullen. So the first name, I always skip past him because I've had so many mentions of him. But you'd probably know him better than most. Is Neefy?
Oh,
how good a player was Neefy?
Neefy was a right back.
Yeah.
Neefy was a right back who played left back because MacArthur was playing.
There you go.
And and the thing was, Neefy never got upset, never kicked anybody, just strolled through a game. I can't, even when we did the Oakwoods, and you can't believe what they did in the Oakwoods. It was phenomenal what they had to do in the Oakwoods when I took them up there.
Yeah.
You're talking 700 sit-ups, you're talking friggin' running a mile and a half up a hill. You're talking about doing the train up Brumley Bray, which is at a good pace and everything, hills and everything. And Neefy just never seemed to break sweat. And he's such a calm guy,
Yeah.
Yeah. It just really, just quality, he not so strong in the air. That's probably the only weakness. And he probably is weak left foot, but he made up, and he had a great step. He'd step over the ball, and he had a great thing with Neefy where he just stepped over, whenever he followed the ball, and he just step away from it. It was over the line. He was fantastic at the goal kicks. I love him. I think he was a tremendous player.
Brilliant.
A good player. I like Neef. Lovely player.
On the other side, MacArthur.
Yeah, MacArthher signed him at Bishop Mill 15, and bastards Elgin City Committee, 13 of them got him for 250 quid from Bishop Mill, wouldn't give me any more money. And they made a mint on him, I think, when he went to freaking Cali,
He did,
Aye, bastards. Anyway, yeah, MacArthur was really good. He's just a young kid. I felt for him. He lost his dad just at that time, and he was voted Player of the Year for Bishop Mill United, and Elgin came in and took him, and he could put a tackle in. He could sometimes be a bit needly. When it was needed, he could put anybody away.
Yeah,
a strong lad and very, very good pace.
Yes,
lovely kid, lovely man. Still a lovely man now. He is. He's my granddaughter's, my niece's boss in the courts.
Yeah,
good lad. I like Ian, and he'd had a great time at Cali. Really good. He was well respected at Cali.
Absolutely,
really good player.
Absolutely, yeah. Got a lot of time,
and very, very resilient. Neef and him hardly ever missed games.
Yeah,
hardly ever missed a game. They just the days of somebody struggling, I've got a knee injury, I've got this, I've got that, and that didn't happen with Neef and MacArthur.
No, absolutely. Okay, Russell Mackay. You've mentioned him as probably one of the best players you've seen in an Elgin. One of the best players you've seen in Elgin. Do you think Russell could have made it all the way top level?
I can't think of a weakness in his game. I think he was quick. He could tackle anything. If the only thing I could think of, and it wasn't a weakness in the Highland League, would be that the fact he wasn't big.
Yeah,
he was quite wiry.
Yes,
but he could tackle like anybody. Some of the best tackle I've ever seen have been from Russell. And he was another one, though. He could really take care of himself. He's like Frazee. Frazee could take care of himself in a tackle, but Russell could do it as well. He just knew where to put his foot so that he wouldn't get hurt.
Yeah.
He was really good. And I think eventually, did he not do his ACL eventually at the end when he finished?
He did. Yeah.
But he was another who was resilient. He just had really, really could do anything, and tackle, header the ball, just take the penalties, everything. He was a really good player. And as I say, I played against him when he was at Burghead Thistle, and he just ran right against us. And you're thinking, geez, a young kid. And luckily Elgin took him away, so we did not play him again after that.
So John actually gave us the story. I think you'd given him information on Sammy Leonce, and he drove all the way down to England to go and watch him. Is that right enough, Graham?
What happened was that Sammy Leonce, I was aircrew with Nimrods at Kinloss.
Yeah.
And somebody rang me up from St. Morgan and said, Tats, Sammy Leonce is coming up. Take a look at him because he's a hell of a player. So I got in touch with a mate of mine called Jonathan Lazari, who used to play in the Air Force side and played for the Combined Services. And he said, yeah, he's awesome, you know. He said he'd actually been in the GB bobsleigh team. He was the anchor man, like, the man who pushes the anchor, pushes it down. He's a sprinter. I mean, he's an athlete, long jumper, everything. So he was coming up here anyway.
Yep.
So, but I think before, say, anybody found out about it, John went down there, and I think he took one of the guys to Bristol City at the same time to have a look at him. But he drove on down to St. Morgan and saw Sammy, and it's Alec Leonson. And when he came back up, Alex signed for us.
Yeah.
And he was in his first game. His very first game was a friendly against Rangers, and he got carried off twice, and the Rangers keeper got carried off as well. And Alec went on both times after he was hit. He had legs like I mean, people say like tree trunks. He had legs like tree trunks, and he could run. Yeah. What a striker!
Yeah.
I remember the goal he scored against Lossie in a really good game. Just crossed the halfway and hit this thing, and if there hadn't been a net, it would have been in Bucky. What a strike!
Yeah.
And he could head a ball as well.
The general opinion I've had for people on Sammy is unbelievable finisher, great in the air, but the first touch, worst first touch you've ever seen in your life.
I can't remember having a bad first touch because he never freaking seemed to bother him. His second touch might have been a tackle, but you didn't. I've never even noticed it. I wouldn't worry about the first touch when you can hit a ball like him, and you can head a ball and you can sprint past anybody.
Yeah,
nobody could live with his pace.
Bit of a machine, yeah,
phenomenal. 6'3" or 6'2" or something.
Yeah,
and built like a brick. You know, just phenomenal.
And we've heard as well, which is obviously, I'll cover it on here because he used to get a bit of abuse and things like that when he played, and you know.
No, I wouldn't say a bit of abuse. I think the only time I saw him get abuse, in fact, it was one of the problems of that season with Keith, is that he got some abuse, and Stephen Marcella had to go into the committee and pull a guy out. That's what John
was telling us about. Yep.
But I think, I don't think it was. I think it was no. There's no such thing. You can't do it now. These days you can't do it like that.
Absolutely,
it's not allowed. It's not. You can take the piss and everything, but the bottom line is you just can't do it.
No.
And I think it was a little guy, Keith, and that Stephen Marcella pulled him out and really gave him a hell of a ripping off.
Stephen Marcella's no kind of boy you want pulling out.
Yeah, you don't mess about with him.
No, you don't.
But I don't think I can't remember any other racist stuff against Alec. Not at all. I mean, he was really, really loved in the club. God, loved in the club.
Yeah,
everybody worshipped him. I mean, he was just what a character. Played in the band, played the sax, sing.
Right,
really, really nice guy.
Yeah,
and I think he's a part-time maths or science teacher at Forrestal Academy now. Left the Air Forces, squad leader. Did really well for himself. Really good lad.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And an athlete.
Yeah,
an athlete. Yeah, proper athlete.
Brilliant. Polly Bulworth.
Polly. I've got nothing but good things here. Polly was I took over the club at a bad time. Polly was really supportive. He was well respected everybody. And you know, when you take something over, people test you. You know, they want to see what you're made of and all that sort of thing, and whether you're the right person or what, and maybe try and give you a little bit of a hard time now and again. Polly was great.
Yeah,
Polly took good care of me. Polly's been really very, very respectful. He was getting my wife's funeral. You know, I mean, I've known Polly a long time now, and several times at Clack I've rung him up and asked him questions about different players, and that. He's always been very, very kind.
Yeah,
and a nice bloke with it. You know, he could score goals for fun. He was strong, really, really strong.
Yeah.
He was
scored a lot of different types of goals as well.
I think is he still one of our top goal scorers at the club?
I think so. Yeah. It's
unusual. You know, it's you hope that everybody is what you want in your dreams of, you know, a good goal scorer, a good player, and a nice bloke. He's that sort of bloke.
Yeah,
he's like Chris Maguire. Chris Maguire was another one.
Aye, yeah,
just nice blokes.
Yeah,
really good lads.
Chris Maguire, one of my favourite Elgin players of all time, just ran himself into the ground every single game.
Played well for Lossie when he came to Lossie. Yeah. When I had him at Lossie, he was good.
It's
his career was cut short by a road accident in New Zealand. And a car turned and ripped his arm. He had his arm hanging out the window. It's sad.
Tragic.
Aye.
And we'll finish off on Stevie Patterson.
Jesus, what can you say? Yeah. Played against him. I think he was 15 when I first came up here. And you just Nothing fazed him.
Yeah.
Nothing. You could kick lumps off him. We'd put people on to try and stop him. Nothing. You could do everything. Hit a ball, head a ball, tackle, run. And that proved, I mean, I have got no idea why he got 23 games for Man United at the time when they had Jordan, McQueen and Buchan. So that's the calibre of people he's competing against.
Absolutely.
And I think he left then, went to Sheffield United and got a bad ankle injury. And I think then he went to Japan.
He went to
Tommy
Japan.
Doc.
Yeah.
And in Australia.
Australia as well, yeah.
And I know. Just sad that, it's just sad because he was such a nice bloke. He was very, very good friends of Mike Henry, who's lived next door to me in Duncan Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Very good, really, him and Pelly were really big mates. And Mike was a good player, but, Pelly was obviously outstanding.
Yeah.
And you get to know somebody and you hope that when we had Fitness and Fun, he used to come in the gym, he had a really bad back as well, struggling with his back. But, I mean, obviously he knows his demons.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk to him and he's not had a drink, what a nice guy.
He's brand new.
What a lovely guy.
Yeah.
Lovely, absolutely lovely man. And just really calm, not thick, eloquent, you can talk, But he's let him down south.
I always
so many times.
Got the opinion when I was speaking to him that he's the kind of guy who'd give you the shirt off his back
Lovely guy.
If you needed it.
But I mean, what he did at Aberdeen, not turning for a game,
Yeah.
Carry the drink. It's just sad that, it's an addiction, obviously, and it's an illness because, you just look at him and you think, God love me, he's a hell of a specimen as a human being. I mean, he's big, 6'2" or 3", built like a brick shit house, and he's strong in a tackle, head a ball, do everything you want in a footballer.
Absolutely.
If you threw all the good footballers in a mixer, you could come up with Pelly, Good player.
Brilliant. I'm just going to do a wee bit for the people listening, Graham. So if you're enjoying the podcast, can you please leave me a wee 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify, follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. I'll leave a little thing at the end of the episode about Patreon. Thank you for the last hour or so, Graham. It's been
penalty.
I'm going to ask you that in a second, okay. Yeah, but just thank you for giving me your time. I do really appreciate it. It's been great to see. Like, I always try and start off with the first question to find out basically where we were as kids with football, and I try to work way through. You give me a fantastic insight, and obviously Elgin's my club. Elgin's your club. It's everyone around here's club.
That's the thing I never understand when I first came here. Just as an aside, when I first came here, I couldn't understand how in Newcastle, right, everybody supports Newcastle.
Yeah.
Nobody walks around with a Rangers top on, a Celtic top, a Liverpool top, Man United. You support Newcastle. I couldn't understand how you got a professional team in the town and you got buses going down to Celtic and down to Rangers and all. And I mean, I accept it, but I just weird
it's
to me.
Puzzling, isn't it?
Puzzling.
Yeah, it is strange.
And that's one of the reasons why we'll never get any better.
No.
Because that continues that sort of stuff.
I think it gets worse as well. You're only going to get, the more you start having to, you look at ticket. I'm not going to get into ticket prices this late in it, but you start to look at ticket prices and you think, well, if I'm spending £20 to go and watch Cali, for example, I might as well spend the extra £20 and go down the road and watch Celtic. And it comes down to that at the end of the day. And I do feel through all levels of football, fans are being priced out of football. Just
it's getting hard. It's getting harder. I've just had to go and buy three lamps for the lights, right? Mm-hmm. 2.2 kilowatt lights, right? £137 plus VAT each.
Mad.
And then you've got to fit them. Somebody's got to go up and fit them. Luckily, we've got a guy who goes and does that for us. Yeah. He's really lovely, Faulkner. He does that for us. Mm-hmm. Really nice guy. So he's doing that, but he's in 70 odd years of age. He's not going to keep on. Peter's not going to keep on doing that for long.
No.
He said that probably this is his last season. And we really need to start looking at digitizing and getting LEDs on there, because at the moment, as I say, that's 3 lights this year. We've got to change now, and we changed 5 last year.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Fuel.
Yeah.
You don't get anywhere down the road now for less than £1,200.
Exactly.
So that's why it's expensive. You've got to, and I mean, players' wages are astronomical now. Trying to keep your players, trying to keep a hold of players and that.
Yeah, I've heard what some players are on in the Highland League these days, and I'm just like, that's too much. It's too much. Okay, last question's always the same as well, Graham. If there's a penalty that your life depended on and it needed scored for your life to be saved, who takes the penalty?
Depends if it was. Would I be injured or am I not injured?
You're not injured.
Okay, I'd take it myself.
You take it yourself?
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
If I didn't take it, if I was injured, Russell.
Aye.
Aye.
It's two answers we've had before. I've had myself and I've had Russell. People trusting Russell to take the penalties as well. Brilliant answer.
Russell was Russell. Kevin Will was one that people forget about how good he was.
Mm-hmm.
But Russell's got a good reputation. But Russell was a good player. Still, I mean, he's still, even when we used to play five-a-side every Friday night at Kinloss, he'd still take the piss at me, nutmeg me and everything, and laugh as he's going past me. Bastard. You might well laugh. It's not much fun.
Do appreciate your time, Graham.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you very
problem at
much,
all.
pal.
Aye.
The Football Journals is now on Patreon. If you sign up on Patreon for just £5 a month, you can get access to our upcoming guests and the chance to ask your own questions, the ability to watch our podcast with full video exclusive, audio only on all other platforms. You can get your episodes earlier than anyone else, sometimes a few days, sometimes a week, but you will get your episodes earlier than everyone else. Chance to request guests of your choice. We will do them our utmost to get them on the show, if obviously within reason. I can't go asking Cristiano Ronaldo on the show. And one bonus episode per month. There's already a bonus episode on there. You'll get a further bonus episode every month. Sign up today at patreon.com/footballjournals, capital F, capital J. That's a sign up today at patreon.com/footballjournals, capital F, capital J.